Welcome to a stress-free coding tutorial. Today I want to answer a question. What is the difference between a REST API and a Web API? Tell me briefly what happened to me. Well, unfortunately, several years have already passed since my boss arriving in an office and told me we have to integrate with a supplier platform. Our e-commerce will have to be able to make and receive REST API calls. Up to now, I had only developed services based on SOAP protocol. So with the look of someone convinced of what he had just asked, I replied, okay, I start working on today. In reality, I had to start looking for what they were exactly, and at first it wasn't so clear to me, and I was taken by the frustration, one of a fascinating, but at the same time irreverent thing about information technologies that you cannot afford not to update yourself. Otherwise, someone will sooner or later ask you to use a technology of which you are not aware. But what is meant by the term REST API exactly? The acronym REST stands for Representational State Transfer. REST is not an architecture or a standard, but a set of guidelines for building a system architecture. All of these can be summed up in the following 5 principles: resource identification, use of HTTP methods, self-descriptive resources, link between resources, stateless communication. A resource is anything we can process. To give some concrete example, a resource can be a customer record, an article, or any object on which operations can be performed. We can say that a resource can be compared to an instance of a class of an object-oriented programming paradigm. In the web environment, the best mechanism for locating a resource is given by the concept of Uniform Resource Identifier, URI. For example, the address domain.xyz/customer returns the customer list. Instead, the address domain.xyz/customer/123, where 123 is a customer ID, returns a specific customer record. Use of HTTP methods. A RESTful API takes advantage of methods or verbs predefined by the HTTP protocol: get, post, put, and delete. Get method read an existing resource. Post method create a new resource. Put method update a resource or change its status. And delete remove a resource. If we code a RESTful API, we will not need to define a method for each object. Example, get customer 123 or get article 123, but we will have to use the standard get method using the URI that identifies the specific customer. This way, the calls will be smooth. Self-descriptive resources. REST APIs have no constraints on how our resources are represented. A web service can expose the same resource in different formats, such as JSON, HTML, XML, etc. When we code a client that calls REST APIs, we could use the format we prefer, but it's advisable to use a standard format. Links between resources. Everything a client needs to know about a resource and related resource must be contained in its representation or must be accessible by hyperlinks. For example, the representation of an order in XML-based language must contain any links to related items and customer. In this way, the client can access the related resource by simply following the links contained in representation of a current resource. Stateless communication. Maintaining the state of a session has a cost in terms of a resource, and the server, and as the number of clients increases, this cost can become unsustainable. In addition, with stateless communication, it is possible that servers can respond to the clients without session constraints, optimizing application performance. And what are a web API? We can say that the API that not respect the principle described for REST API are simply web API. We can say that most of the API implemented in web are not RESTful, but web API or HTTP API. So that's all for today. Like and subscribe to the channel for the next free stress coding video. Bye.